Thank you for tuning in again. This week is National Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to thank and salute the 13,000 MCPS teachers, as well as all parochial and private school teachers who work so hard to teach our young people. As we look back over the last few years and the unprecedented challenges our teachers faced, none of us could have imagined the adversities that our teachers had to overcome. They adapted to the changes in instruction and the flexibility needed to deal with virtual learning, staffing shortages, and protecting themselves and their students from COVID. This week and every week, I encourage everyone to thank our teachers and show them the appreciation and respect they deserve. Teacher Appreciation Week isn't just for students and parents. I'm pretty sure we all have been inspired or changed for the better by a teacher at some time in our lives. It's been a long time since I was an MCPS student, and yet I can still remember the names, faces, and lessons of the teachers that made a difference in my life. As a former elementary school teacher, the most appreciated I felt was when I would run into students years later, or even when they were adults themselves, and they would tell me or thank me for something that I taught them. Teachers are professionals that we too often take for granted. We expect them to be everything to every kid they teach. From social workers to guidance counselors, to disciplinarians to nurses, their work does not end when the school day is over. They're always thinking about their students and finding new and innovative ways to engage them. They inspire our children and help nurture the future leaders of our communities, nation, and the world. This week, our COVID case rates continue to climb, but our positivity rates have plateaued over the past several weeks. This is a good sign that we should see this current surge of cases begin to recede soon. It is important to note that our hospitalization rates remain low, and thankfully we are avoiding severe cases and deaths. Currently, we're hovering between CDC community level low and medium, but are hoping, with our rates expected to decline, that we will remain in the low community level. 97% of cases in our region are now the BA2 strain, and we are now monitoring the new BA4 and BA5 subvariants that have been identified in South Africa. These two new strains of COVID are more transmissible than the current BA2 strain and could evade antibodies from vaccinations and prior infections. We will be monitoring this aspect of these new strains very carefully, as they could have implications for how we protect ourselves against the rise in infections. Getting your booster shots matter a great deal if you're more than 4 months beyond your booster. The immunity it confers is waning. That means that protection against infection is reduced. Getting your third and then your fourth booster when appropriate is important to keeping yourself and the people around you at minimum risk. As we prepare for this new variant, we must continue to focus on our vaccination and boosting efforts, as well as on those most vulnerable to COVID, our older residents, those who are immune compromised, and the children under 5 who are not yet eligible to be vaccinated. We continue to monitor cases in congregate settings and are working with nursing homes and assisted living facilities to best protect their vulnerable residents. And as we wait for FDA approval of vaccines for those under 5, we are preparing and collaborating with county pediatricians, as well as planning outreach in clinics and communities that have lower vaccination rates. On another health-related issue in the news this week, I'm shocked and outraged about the draft opinion that was leaked from the Supreme Court. If this opinion stands when the court makes their ruling in June, this will be a travesty. This is a complete regression and attack on women's rights and freedoms and their health. This potential court decision is also the beginning of a slippery slope that will impact federal funding and protections toward women and maternal health. I also fear that if the court overturns Roe v. Wade, Republicans will be emboldened to target other laws, like those that allow same-sex marriage and other civil rights. Federal funding is a key to clinics being able to provide health care assistance to lower-income women, and if that funding disappears, we know what has happened historically, and we don't want to go back to the days when abortions were sometimes performed in less safe ways, putting women's health at risk. Let's be clear, no court would impose these restrictions or any restrictions on medical care available to men, or mandate how men control their bodies. And it's outrageous that they assert the right to interfere in women's health issues. I'm proud that our elected state leaders acted earlier this year to expand access to abortion because they understand this is an important health care issue and is a decision that should be left to each woman. I want to thank the County Council for their unanimous approval last week of the labor agreements that lay out enhancements in compensation and benefits for county employees. The Council's action gives us a tool we need to recruit and retain workers needed to continue to provide the services that county residents expect. I want to note that the county is experiencing the same kind of large-scale resignations that's bedeviling the rest of the business world. And as we try to bring workers back, we're in a more competitive environment and people expect to be paid competitively. However, I do believe that this will take us a long way to being able to address the concerns that we have on our staff and make sure we're able to restore staffing levels to the level that we believe we should have. I do want to express concern about the council staff's recommendation to cut $40 million we allocated toward Naturally Occurring Affordable Housing Fund, or NOAH. These funds are designed to address a real and immediate need. A 2020 Planning Department study said that we're at risk of losing between 7,000 to 11,000 affordable housing units due to the expected rent increases. We know from that study that we lost 20,000 units between the year 2000 and around 2018. Many of these units are in areas that are rapidly becoming more expensive, as in along the Purple Line corridor, and we need to act quickly to preserve affordability for these at-risk properties. We've been approached by affordable housing providers about needing the capacity to respond quickly and to be able to use the right of first refusal to prevent the loss of affordable housing. If they can't make offers in a timely way, they will lose the opportunity because lining up the financing often takes months beyond when they have the right to exercise the right of first refusal. This fund would allow us to react quickly to opportunities that our partners want to be able to act on and that we're encouraging them to do so. I hope the County Council will support our recommended allocation for this fund so we can start tackling this affordable housing shortage with greater urgency. I want to acknowledge that this week is also the beginning of our Asian American Pacific Islander Month. Accounting for nearly 16% of the county's population, our Asian American and Pacific Islander population is made up of over 20 different ethnic subgroups. Over 40% of the state of Maryland's Asian American and Pacific Islander population lives in Montgomery County. I'm looking forward to attending various events around the county throughout this month. For many of our communities and organizations, this will be their first AAPI event in person in 3 years. I encourage all Montgomery County residents to recognize and learn about our AAPI cultures that help make the diversity of this county so vibrant and enriching. This week is also National Correctional Officers Week, and I want to thank all the Montgomery County Correctional and Rehabilitation Department employees for their dedication, professionalism, and commitment to serve and protect our correctional and rehabilitation inmates, as well as our efforts towards improving their lives and reducing recidivism. These employees have very difficult jobs to begin with, and working under pandemic conditions over the last 2 years has made their daily challenges even more difficult. But they've adapted and adjusted to keep themselves and those who they protect as safe as possible. I want to thank them and let them know that I appreciate them for their service. Finally, I want to wish all the mothers, aunts, guardians, and grandmothers in Montgomery County a wonderful Mother's Day this upcoming weekend. Please remember to not only show appreciation to your mother, but to all those others who are mother figures in your life. Thank you again, and have a great week.